chilly morning in Nashville as Vanderbilt welcomes one of the hottest teams in college football, the 14th ranked Florida Gators at 5-1. Welcome to ESPN College Football presented by Xfinity. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. The Gators with back-to-back wins over ranked teams. 2 weeks ago, Dan Mullen brings Florida to his old stomping grounds in Starkville and beats Mississippi State 13-6. And then last week in the Swamp, Florida knocks off LSU 27-19. And hi, everybody. Alongside Greg McElroy, I'm Dave Pasch. We'll get to Tom Luganbill in a minute. Greg, it's too early to say that Florida is back to where it was when it was winning championships. But Dan Mullen's offense statistically is the best it's been in a decade. What's the biggest difference?
They're controlling the line of scrimmage, and they're getting back to running the football. If you look at these two running backs, Scarlett and Pirine, the effectiveness of that run game combined with the offensive line's improvement and Felipe Franks. Dan Mullen is a quarterback whisperer. Felipe Franks is managing the game to perfection over the last 2 weeks en route to winning against two ranked teams. The bell cow of this team is the defensive side, Tom.
Well, it certainly is, Greg. This is a ferocious defensive front, and it starts on the edges. This is a team that can really be disruptive. When you consider Jabari Zuniga, Ja'Kai Polite, 10.5 sacks between them, Vanderbilt better have some answers and not fall behind the chains.
Vanderbilt won the toss, Tom, and elects to receive. They moved the football on Georgia last week, but just could not punch it in. Struggled in the red zone and fell to 0-2 in conference play. From the 2-yard line, it's Wakefield, and he is brought down shy of the 15. So Kyle Shurmur, the quarterback for Vanderbilt, backed up. You look at his family tree, go all the way back to Fritz, 24 years as an NFL defensive coach, 19 as a defensive coordinator, and he won the Super Bowl. And his nephew, Pat Shurmur, current head coach of the New York Giants, and his son, Kyle, a 3-year starter. Number 2 all-time at Vanderbilt in touchdown passes behind Jay Cutler. Needs 1,600 yards to pass Cutler to be the all-time leader in passing yards for the Commodores. And they're going to run the ball from the 15-yard line, and breaking a tackle is Keyshawn Vaughn. He's then dragged down after a gain of 3 by Donovan Steiner.
And Kyle Shurmur is a guy that is cerebral, has a good understanding of what they want to do offensively, and Andy Ludwig, the offensive coordinator, say you just really got to get him more consistent. When you look at Kyle Shurmur, he has some great moments. Some moments where he'll deliver the ball accurately, and then he'll have moments where you're kind of shaking your head. So consistency is a point of emphasis moving forward in the season.
On second down, they'll run Vaughn again, and gets maybe a yard. Brought down by David Reese. It'll be third down here for Vandy.
And Greg, these are the types of downs that Vanderbilt does not want to be in, particularly backed up where you're 3rd and 7+, because guess what's coming defensively from Todd Grantham?
Yeah, you know they're going to bring pressure. Florida's a very aggressive group. They can also create pressure just because of those defensive ends that you talked about, Tom. So being efficient on 1st and 2nd down for Vanderbilt, absolutely imperative throughout this game. Keep an eye on Ja'Kai Polite. He's been almost unblockable over the last 2 weeks in wins against ranked opponents.
Yeah, 4 sacks in those last 2 games. Shurmur from the pocket gets hit, and the ball was out, but it's ruled a forward pass. It was Zuniga that had pressure that time on Shurmur, so a 3-and-out for Vanderbilt to start the game.
They have such good personnel at all 3 spots. These are their 3 defensive ends. Jefferson, 96. Polite, who we circled earlier, at 99. And then Jabari Zuniga, number 92. He was actually internally placed in that front, so they can really get after you in the pass rush.
Florida has been able to block some kicks this year. They come after this one, but do not get to Tomey, who gets off a good punt. Fielded at the 33 by Freddie Swain, and he's bottled up. Brought down at the 35-yard line. So Felipe Franks will come on the field, the sophomore quarterback for the Gators, who's a terrific athlete. Got 13 touchdown passes this year. 2016 perfect game All-American Florida Region honorable mention. And then in basketball at 6'6". Still pretty good feet. Look how high he gets up for the dunk. And you look at some of his family members and what they've accomplished in the athletic world. And Felipe having a good season. More touchdown passes already than he had all of last year. He's going to throw here on 1st and 10 to the sideline. And it is caught by Josh Hammond at the 49-yard line. So that's a 14-yard pickup on the first play for the Gators.
A really nice throw and catch. Trying to get a little naked route to get Felipe into the ball game and get him comfortable. And they come out with tempo.
Out in space to Hammond. Has blockers inside the 40 and to the 38-yard line. Well, Franks has thrown an interception in each of his last 2 games, but he only has 4 picks this year. He had 8 a year ago. We mentioned the touchdown passes 13. That's the most since Tebow's senior year back in 2009. Protecting the ball, even though he's got those picks in the last couple of games, as Scarlett catches it out of the backfield. It's another Florida first down to the 25, 13 yards.
Much has been made about getting this offense going. Come out today with a little tempo because Felipe Franks is a rhythmic passer, still young in his development, a little up and down, a little inconsistent. Getting him into the game plan with tempo early.
There's Scarlett to the 10 and down to the 5. Plus, this is a way to get warm. It's 50 degrees. Florida hasn't played in a temperature under 80 yet this year. In fact, I don't even know if it's been under 85 in their game.
Yeah, I'm talking to Dan Mullen before the game. He said, I look at my players, it's like we're playing in Green Bay. It's 55 degrees, and we got long sleeves, we got pants on. Guys don't know how to handle it quite like that.
9th play of the drive, and the pass tipped in the air, and it is intercepted. Williams picks it up. I thought he was down, but they haven't ruled him down yet. He's taken it back the other way for a touchdown. So the ruling on the field's going to be a touchdown, but boy, it looked like he was down.
That was wild. All right, tipped up in the air. He, of course, secures the catch right there, and look at that left knee. He's down. His right knee is down there as well.
You think he's down?
After review, video evidence shows that the runner was down. After the interception, it will be Vanderbilt's ball, 1st and 10 from the 2-yard line.
And the stadium erupts as you hear all the Florida fans.
10-19 on the game clock.
But that's big for Vanderbilt because Florida, with that tempo, appeared to catch the Commodores off guard.
It was a great play by Vanderbilt defensively, and it looked like number 71 for Vanderbilt, Jared Southers, was the guy that knocked the ball down. Or if it was 91, might have been Birchmeyer, but man, great job on 2nd and short, low red area, knocking the ball up in the air and allowing Juwan Williams to make a play on it.
So Vanderbilt ball on its 2-yard line after the takeaway. 3rd pick in the last 3 games by Franks. Vaughn, and he's loose. He's got running room past the 15-yard line, and the Illinois transfer stays in bounds all the way up to the 45. This kid can fly. Nashville native picks up about 43.
And a great job on the outside zone, and a poor job of tackling in the hole by David Reese, but no one held contain on the outside. When the linebacker picks to go up inside, your corner has to stay out. And as a result, nobody was there. He gets the edge, and they break it for a huge play. Keyshawn Vaughn's been a difference maker for this Vanderbilt team all year long.
Nicknamed Red Mamba when he was in high school here at Pearl Cone in Nashville. Former Gatorade Player of the Year in Tennessee. Shurmur going downtown, caught at the 40 for a first down by the leading receiver in the SEC, Elijah Lipscomb. So Vaughn, we mentioned a local. He went to Illinois, though, after being named Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year in high school. The Red Mamba nickname. The high school is only a couple of miles from Vanderbilt Stadium. Elected to transfer in November of 2016. Sat out all of last year. But he's burst onto the scene, averaging better than 7 yards a carry this year. Here's Blasingame, the backup running back. He's down to the 37, picks up 3 yards. Kyrie Campbell on the stop, and Vaughn races back onto the field.
And Tom, he's a physically imposing back.
Yep.
What's most impressive about Keyshawn Vaughn is how consistently he makes the first guy miss.
Especially when there's penetration in the backfield, or he's got a jump cut to avoid what would be ankle tackles. And his second gear, we haven't seen a lot of that from offensive skill guys here at Vanderbilt. He's an impressive guy.
But can Vanderbilt do something more than just get into Florida territory and flip the field? Against Georgia last week, they struggled doing this, but they get a first down here with Sam Dobbs making the catch, his 6th grab of the year, so they're inside the Florida 30 now.
I like what they're doing offensively, though. I mean, they're coming out, they're mixing run pass on first down. Nice play action pass that gave them a fresh set a second ago. Right there, 2nd and long. As you can see, Andy Ludwig, the offensive coordinator, 2nd and long, involving the tight end early in the passing game. From Florida, you're going to see a lot of pressure. You're going to see a lot of man coverage involving tight ends and running backs in the passing game. Very important for Vanderbilt offensively.
They're going to give it to Mamba again. And look at him move the pile down to the 23-yard line. They can't get him down. Well, they've got some guys up front that have a lot of experience for Vanderbilt, including Bruno Reagan is a center, and he's a former judo champ and wrestler, so he's not easy to block.
Little tempo here.
And it's a jet sweep to Lipscomb with blockers inside the 10-yard line, and finally knocked out of play at the 7 by Brad Stewart. It's 1st and goal for Vandy.
Now, I like the tempo, Tom. You get in the red zone. That's where you stalled last week. Minimize the thought process, get the players playing instinctively, and that's what tempo can do for you. Don't overanalyze it. Pick your best play, go to a sound checklist in the red zone, and get these guys playing fast.
And not to mention, Florida's having a hard time lining up because they're trying to flip their ends depending on the strength and formation. So tempo creating some issues for Florida's front 7.
So it's 1st and goal from the 2. Play fake again. Shurmur looking, fires high and incomplete. Intended for Pinckney, who's a good red zone target at tight end. 2nd and goal.
I really like the play calling so far from Andy Ludwig. I mean, this right here, 1st and goal, the 2-yard line, that's pretty obvious rundown. So what do they opt to do? Throw it. Drop back and throw it. You have to keep this defense guessing. Florida, from a talent standpoint, far superior than Vanderbilt is. So get them thinking, get them moving. Try to trick them with a few plays that are tendency breakers for you.
Only 12 out of 24 touchdowns in the red zone this year. On the handoff down to the 1, it is Vaughn. So 3rd and goal for Vanderbilt. Mentioned just 50% touchdown rate. That's 122nd in terms of red zone for Derek Mason's team. Can they punch it in here on 3rd and goal from the 1?
This is a drive that started way back at their own 2-yard line. So if I'm Derek Mason, I think I got 2 downs to get it here. No chance I'm settling for a field goal after having this type of momentum.
Play fake. Shurmur looking. Got a wide open man. It's a touchdown for Jared Pinckney. So how about that change of momentum? Florida is driving the field. They turn it over inside the 5, and then Vanderbilt goes 98 yards for its longest scoring drive of the year to strike first.
Just terrific design and great mix of run pass all the way down the field. Excellent execution from Vanderbilt offense.
Walk on Riley Gay on for the point after. It's 7-0 Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt defense comes up big. They keep the Gators out of the end zone, and their offense rewards them. 98 yards, several plays, and a touchdown for the Doors.
Kadarius Toney is deep, and he will not take it out, so Florida will start on the 25. Trailing Vanderbilt midway through the first quarter in Nashville. After the anchor walk, they dropped that thing in the Florida end zone. They did 98-yard touchdown drives, are the longest in 15 years. They have not beaten Florida here at home since 1988, losing 13 straight in Nashville, 26 of the last 27 overall. And it looked like Florida was going to score easily on that opening possession, but they turned it over, and Vanderbilt with its best touchdown drive in a decade and a half. In terms of distance anyway. They had 10 points in the first 6 games total in the first quarter, already 7 here today. And now Franks back to the air after an interception. He is throttled in the backfield, taken down at the 16-yard line. It was Stone Edwards who made the play.
Yeah, and watch Stone Edwards coming from the edge. You're going to see a lot of movement. And as a result, they get a little discombobulated up front. Next thing you know, Felipe Franks is eating turf. Nice little game up front to mess with the offensive protection.
Franks will throw again on 2nd and long. That one is caught on a comeback route at the 32-yard line by Van Jefferson, a Nashville native. You look at Dan Mullen, going back to his time as the offensive coordinator when they won a couple of national championships. He's one of the best offensive minds in college football, no doubt. But even he told us a couple weeks ago when they had them at Mississippi State, they're still a work in progress offensively.
No doubt. And he's looking at his quarterback position too and saying we can get better there. But man, he's got to be proud of how Felipe Franks has handled situations the last 2 weeks.
They'll run it on 3rd down and 2 and get the first down with LaMichael Pirine. Well, guys, you got to think about you win in an emotional game in Starkville 2 weeks ago. You come back home and you beat LSU, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're down on the road in front of 20,000 people in Nashville, and most of the 20,000 are rooting for you at least. It's not a hostile environment. Almost puts you to sleep. So a fresh set of downs just shy of midfield for the Florida offense, trailing Vanderbilt late first quarter 7-0. Franks from the pocket, slings it complete. A first down to the 38-yard line to Kyle Pitts.
Hey guys, since the last drive, the opening drive, the run that Jordan Scarlett had prior to the interception, he has not returned to the game. He's been on the sideline. It's been LaMichael Pirine's show. Can't confirm it. He looks like he's been dinged. We'll keep you posted on that. Dameon Pierce, a true freshman, is now the reserve.
And here's Pirine between the tackles down to the 30. They split carries last week. Scarlett had 14 attempts for 65 yards. Pirine 17 carries for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win against LSU.
Yeah, and running the football is going to be what Dan Mullen wants to emphasize in this game and throughout the rest of the season. It's going to be Pirine and Scarlett and Pierce occasionally that carry the load.
Swing pass, Pirine with blockers, gets the first down. That was executed beautifully on the perimeter. Odangbo made the tackle. Morrill Stevens was out there blocking for Pirine to the 25-yard line.
No, Greg, we saw this 2 weeks ago against Mississippi State. Their perimeter pass game to the backs is their run game. It's outside zone. They're block and run across the board.
That's an extended handoff, basically no different than a toss sweep.
Give to Pirine again up the middle. And they're getting 9 yards of pop. The safety, Wiley, making the tackle. Vanderbilt coaches told us they're seeing that way too often on film. Wiley making plays because he's the running back's getting to the 3rd level.
Yeah, and Griffin was there, number 40 for Vanderbilt, but he got the old truck stick there at the 2nd level. Not much you can do. Pirine, man, he runs hard.
Pirine again inside the 10. You made the point about that jump cut on 4th down too. He's good back. 1st and goal for the Gators.
Very good back. That's the best position group on the team, arguably, outside of defensive end, are these running backs. Pirine has been outstanding. Scarlett last week ran as hard as I've ever seen him run. Hopefully he can return to this ball game.
2 tight ends in the game here. Franks gives. And this time Vanderbilt swarms to the ball as Pirine is hit by Odangbo. The ball came out, but an official is ruling that forward progress was stopped at the 7-yard line.
It looked like forward progress was stopped as Pirine was getting driven back.
The ruling on the field as the runner was down, 2nd down.
And you see the ball get jarred loose at that point. Now he's clearly getting pushed back, and at that point is where the ball gets ripped from his grasp. So good job by the officials blowing it dead.
And you can't challenge that. There's no booth review when forward progress is stopped. Scarlett is back on the field here for Florida on 2nd and goal. And he's going to block for Franks, heading for the pylon instead. He's drilled out of play. Jordan Griffin with a big hit on the quarterback around the 3-yard line. So it's 3rd and goal in the final stages of the opening frame here in Nashville.
And it's important to get an answer here. Your defense just gave up a 98-yard drive for a touchdown. I know they're not pointing fingers on the defensive side of the ball, but it's important for Florida's offense to answer with a touchdown. A field goal is not going to be good enough. Expect it to be 4-down territory, so they got 2 downs to get it when we come back here in the 2nd quarter.
And it will be the 15th play of the drive for Florida when we come back. Trying to avoid an upset after those back-to-back wins against ranked teams, but they're down 7-0 after 1 on the road. They spread it out here on 3rd down and goal.
Keep an eye on Kadarius Toney, number 4, down here.
Scarlett is drilled at the 5-yard line. Great defense by Vanderbilt. And how about Drew Birchmeyer had the deflection on the interception earlier. Makes a play there as well. Ladarius Wiley coming in from his safety spot with a hit.
Yeah, you thought it'd be 4-down territory, but because of negative play, you lose that opportunity to potentially go for it. Unfortunate play for Florida right there, but a great job by Vandy. That's twice now inside the 5. They've been strong at the point of attack.
Evan McPherson, a true freshman. He's missed only once this year, and this is a 22-yard attempt. And he gets Florida on the board early in the 2nd quarter. 7-3 Doors. This will be a touchback, and Vanderbilt will start on the 25-yard line. The state champion in high school. On 1st down, Shurmur setting up the screen to the Mamba. He's past the 30-yard line, and there he goes, crossing midfield. He stumbles. They track him down at the 5. They push him out of bounds at the 1-yard line. No, it's a touchdown. It is a touchdown, 75 yards for Keyshawn Vaughn, the Red Mamba.
What an effort. As you can see, tight roping that sideline and extending that ball over the pylon. What a play by Keyshawn Vaughn.
A difference maker for this Vanderbilt offense. The Illinois transfer elected not to play at Vanderbilt, coming out of high school, decorated high school player, but he's back now, and he's given his team an 11-point lead.
That's one way to neutralize this Florida Gator pass rush. What do? How about a screen? A little slow screen left to your halfback, Keyshawn Vaughn, who gets an open space, makes a couple guys miss, and turns on the burners. That's the best 75-yard touchdown pass Kyle Shurmur will ever throw as his dad and mom look on.
This will be a touchback. It will come out to the 25 for the Gators. Pierce gets the call here on 1st down to the 32. Man, Dwayne Haskins can sling it, can he? Back to Pierce, and he drags a defender for a 1st down to the 36-yard line. So Pierce, a true freshman, getting some work at running back. Actually, all 3 backs, their numbers very similar. Scarlett, P. Ryan, and Pierce.
Scarlett back in the game now, so been cleared.
Another run play, and it's Pierce to the 38-yard line. Well, Florida, everybody's been talking about how great they are the last couple weeks, and now met with some adversity. Let's see how they handle it.
No doubt, and it's really adversity created by their defense. So let's see how the offense responds. For the first time, they're kind of put in a situation that is pretty challenging. Usually that defense is up to the task.
Franks will throw here, going down the sideline, thrown way out of bounds. Van Jefferson, the intended receiver. Joanne Williams in coverage, 3rd and 7.
And this is where you can't be if you're the Florida Gators. Felipe Franks very efficient when you're ahead of the sticks, when you're keeping things underneath. Prior to that last pass, he was 7 of 8, but all of his throws were underneath. He's not super accurate on throws down the field just yet. And 3rd and 7, he's going to have to push it downfield just a bit here and be accurate in what should be pretty tight windows by Vanderbilt defensively.
Franks fumbles the ball. It's kicked around. Odengbo can't get it. Johnson can, and now it's kicked to the sideline. Finally scooped up by Vanderbilt. Dio Odengbo comes up with it. Crazy play. The ball bouncing everywhere. It's Vanderbilt football inside the 30-yard line.
Wow. I mean, what was that? There's a fumble on the little quarterback drop power.
Rolling on the field is a fumble recovered by Vanderbilt. First down.
Very clear that the ball is out, and you see Odengbo kind of bumbling, stumbling, balls bouncing up in the air, and it almost goes out of bounds. It was a heads-up play by Dio Odengbo, his brother, to grab it before it ventures out of bounds, because it was almost a 3rd down and 50 for Florida if that ball trickles into the white.
We got to work on their ball skills, fellas.
Man, that was crazy.
So another turnover by Felipe Franks, his 2nd one today. Blasting game. Big hole off left tackle to the 19-yard line. So Trey Dean on the stop, but 8 yards downfield. Vanderbilt with a deflection and an interception, and then a forced fumble recovered by Odengbo. You know, Florida was plus 11 coming into today, which is good for 2nd in the country behind Kansas, but -2 in this game.
Yeah, and Felipe Franks is to blame there, and he's been so smart these last few weeks with the football, really taking what the defense gives him. Had a ball picked earlier on the tip, and there he drops it on the fumble.
Blasting game trying to cut it back, runs into a wall. Jabari Zuniga there first, the ball, and a penalty marker down. There is some pushing and shoving after the play.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense, number 11. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down. That is number 11's first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of the game.
I mean, that's a WWE move. Superfly Snook off the top rope. What's he doing?
I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. He had him in his grasp, but he had to pile drive him on top of it. I mean, that was
suplex.
That was ridiculous. I mean, that's just a lack of poise. You got to control your emotions on the field.
1st and goal for Vanderbilt. Shurmur rolling out, gonna dump it off, but it was high over the head of Blasingame.
And this is a critical sequence here for Florida's defense. They have had very little to celebrate here in the first 24 minutes of this football game. And Vanderbilt, over the last 6 games, has struggled in this part of the field. It's been very up and down. Florida needs to force a field goal here. That, at least after the sudden change, would get you feeling good about what you're doing. Huge couple downs here for the Gators.
2nd and goal. Wakefield straight off into the end zone. Touchdown, Vanderbilt. Second touchdown of the season for Jamori Wakefield, and Pat Shurmur having the time of his life. He's like, can I just go to Vanderbilt games and not coach the Giants for the next couple weeks? This is too much fun. Meanwhile, the head coach of the Gators not having fun. His team getting smashed, pushed around on the road. You wonder if some of these Gators started to read their press clippings after their last 2 wins over Mississippi State and LSU.
When Vanderbilt's been at their best, they've been able to create turnovers. Today, they've done so twice. The fumble eventually recovered by Odengbo, and then cashing in offensively with the touchdown run by Wakefield. Kyle Shurmur loves it, and the Doors are off to a big lead against the Gators.
Now Vanderbilt right now is just destroying Florida's defense. 21 points given up by the Gators. They lost to Kentucky 27-16 back on September 8th. They've won 4 in a row since, mainly because of their defense, but not today. But the turnovers have helped, as you mentioned, as in their wins they were dominating the turnover battle. But -2 today, and both turnovers have led to touchdowns. Most points allowed in a half by Florida this year. And a deep kickoff, a touchback. Franks to throw, and it's caught for a first down by Tyree Cleveland to the 39-yard line.
Well, guys, as Florida was coming off the field, Dan Mullen really handing it to the officials. He is not pleased whatsoever. And being close enough to hear him, unfortunately, I can't repeat some of the things that he was stating, but what he's asking for is consistency amongst the officials when it comes to the calls and having them being called both ways.
All right, Tom. Pirine bottled up by Drew Birchmeyer. That's the best job they've done on those in between the tackle run plays of late. Look at Florida. 15 of the last 16 games when they've trailed by double digits, they have lost. They look shocked right now. Hey, we just beat LSU, they're thinking, coming into this game. And boy, you come in, you got most of the stadium is full of your own fans. You turn the ball over early, and they haven't rebounded. Franks takes off here, and he breaks a tackle and gets a first down.
So, fellas, when we were in pregame and we talk about teams dealing with success, and I said, you seem to want to play to a standard, compete, your kids will do that. But what worries you about Vanderbilt? And he said, I am worried to death about their offense. I think they're really good on offense, and our defense is going to have a challenge because they can run the football, and they're a good play-action team.
Another run play. Pirine lowers the boom on the defender to the 44-yard line. Gain of about 6.
Yeah, and no one's really had a lot of consistent success moving the ball against this Florida defense. Right now, Vanderbilt's averaging almost 9 yards a play, over 7 yards a carry running the football. So it's kind of shell-shocked there on the Gator sideline.
Pirine again up the gut. Going to be another Florida first down.
I think it's so hard, Greg and Dave, when you're trying to build a program and you're trying to establish your identity and what you're all about, and you haven't tasted success for any sustained period of time in quite some time, and then all of a sudden it hits you in this giant wave. What are your kids going to do? And I don't even think Dan Mullen knew that yet. Now they're in a dogfight.
Franks off play action, gets hit and sacked at the 38-yard line by Luis Vecchio, a grad transfer from Penn. He missed last week's game because he was under the weather, but he comes back today and makes a big play.
Yeah, watch Vecchio right here. He's going to slip inside and beat Heggie, who has a club on his left hand. If you look at the right guard for Florida, he's got a club on his left hand, so he can't engage with Vecchio. He slips inside, attacks that hand that's not at 100%, and gets the sack.
Franks throws a strike to Jefferson, going to bring up third down. You know, guys, when you've been winning the way Florida has been winning, it's really hard to keep that up.
You need everything to go right all the time. Not all the time, but enough for you to stay within your plan. Because they get out of their comfort zone, it's hard for them.
3rd and 5. Leaving the backfield is Pirine. He has the catch and has the first down. Pirine inside the 10. It'll be 1st and goal. Plenty of time for Florida. 2:42 on the clock, and a fresh set of downs inside the 10-yard line.
And great job by Pirine right there, outrunning Wiley in man coverage on the swing route.
They go tempo. Pirine again, hit at the 1, reaches the ball out. The ball comes out. It's still up in the air, and they finally rule the Florida running back down. Another weird bounce. But ruling in the field as Pirine is tackled down at the 1-yard line.
Whoa.
Pirine, as he's going down, you see him extend that left arm.
That's a touchdown, isn't it?
It's close. Was he down before the ball broke the plane? It's difficult to tell.
After review, video evidence shows that the runner did break the plane of the goal line. It is a touchdown. Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 2:30.
So Michael Pirine, who had 2 touchdowns against LSU last week, gets Florida's first touchdown today with 1:58 to play in the first half.
Absolutely had to have that if you're Florida. had to have it. Everything going Vanderbilt's way. You'd made so many critical errors. You had to put a drive together. They did. Responded to the adversity nicely early.
And the true freshman Evan McPherson on for the point after. And it's 21-10. McPherson kicking it deep. And this will be a touchback, and it will come out to the 25-yard line. 2.5 minutes to go. Kyle Shurmur has been solid, not spectacular, but he's got 2 touchdown passes. They run the ball here with Blasingame, stood up by Joseph. And Adam Schuler, a grad transfer from West Virginia. And Mullen is not going to call a timeout. He'll save it for 3rd down.
I think Vanderbilt needs to be very smart with what they do here. If they give the ball back to Florida, Florida's got momentum, and they really struggled last week in 2 minutes before the half defense against Georgia.
Shurmur over the top, but it was way overthrown. Ellis, the intended receiver. We were talking with Andy Ludwig yesterday. He says sometimes you see high passes from Shurmur. Sometimes the footwork leads to that.
And Shurmur is a little inconsistent. Played a lot of football, but his feet do sometimes get a little out of whack, which leads to some inaccuracies and some inconsistencies. It's a big down right here. Keep the drive alive or potentially give Florida the ball back with some momentum.
And Greg, they have not converted on 3rd down yet today.
And it looks like man coverage. I mean, this is Florida's bread and butter. Man coverage across the board. And watch the pressure off the right-hand side.
Shurmur stands tall in the pocket, but Joseph knocks it down. 4th down. And Dan Mullen saves his timeouts. They're going to get the ball back with plenty of time in the clock.
Yeah, this time, that's a pressure look for Florida. But instead, they decided to double Pinckney. They had Beauchamp underneath. They had Taylor over the top. They're doubling on one of their better pass-catching threats for Vanderbilt. They really have 2 guys that can really beat you through the air. One's Kalijah Lipscomb. Jared Pinckney's the other.
Comey to punt. Freddie Swain already with a good return earlier and has an 85-yard punt return for a touchdown earlier in the season. Is deep, and this is a line drive right to him. Swain from the 25-yard line. He's already at the 35 with a flag down. Swain out of bounds near midfield. A second penalty marker is down, and there's an injured Vanderbilt player. P. Ryan down at the 28, and Vanderbilt will call a timeout. Derek Mason. Oh, wait, no, he's going to let it run. You're going to save it. I don't know. I think I'd call it here, because if they don't get it on 3rd down, I mean, the half's pretty much over.
They might
use your timeout.
They might want to save it for 3rd down and then maybe try to go after a kick, though, because it looks like Florida's content with just taking it to the halftime.
Pressure off the edge. P. Ryan out in space. He's got running room at the 40-yard line. P. Ryan into Vanderbilt territory. Cuts it back at the 30-yard line. Being chased at the 15. They finally get him and take him down with 5 seconds left. And Vanderbilt, or Florida rather, will call a timeout with 5 seconds to go. They'll have enough time to run a play.
What a huge change in momentum. Vanderbilt opting to blitz, thinking that Florida is just going to run the ball up the middle. Vanderbilt would call timeout, and then Florida would be forced to punt. Instead, Dan Mullen opts to throw just a little bit of a wide swing route to where the space was vacated by the blitzing defender, and P. Ryan's off to the races. What a huge turn of events. In a very short period of time, you go from thinking you might have a chance to block a kick to now Florida thinking they might be able to steal at least 3 points here. Watch one-on-one here, too. Van Jefferson, their best receiver.
And that's where he's going with the ball. Throws it way behind Jefferson. That was a back shoulder throw, but Jefferson was running into the end zone. 4 seconds left, and Dan Mullen not going to risk it here. Just going to send the field goal unit out there.
Yeah, that's what you thought. You thought it was going to be a back shoulder throw or maybe a quick slant, something that would get the ball out really quickly. And They wouldn't risk anything that could happen in the field of play. So not surprised by the call, and also agree to now to send the kicker out on 2nd down.
Sure, have a chance to get it in a 1-possession game. Because of that big play, you're probably looking at this here as bonus points going into the locker room, thinking maybe you weren't going to get it because you're at your 15-yard line with a minute to go. And McPherson nails it. 21-13 is the score at halftime in Nashville. As the number 14 team in the country, one of the hot topics in college football this week because of their wins at Mississippi State and against LSU, a pair of ranked teams. We'll see here. Keep an eye on if there's anything extracurricular as both teams head to the same end zone going to their respective locker rooms. 21-13 at half. Let's send you now to Adnan Burke, Joey Galloway, and Jesse Palmer. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Dave Pasch, Greg McElroy, and Tom Luganbill in Nashville. Vanderbilt trying to pull the upset over the 14th ranked team in the country. The Gators scored the last 10 points of that 2nd quarter to pull within 8. Got a field goal as time expired. And Florida will get the ball first here to start the 3rd quarter. Gators trying to win their 5th straight. Vanderbilt looking for its first SEC win of the season. Trying to get bowl eligible. A win today would certainly help their cause, but a long way to go. And Tony had trouble getting the handle. He gets hit at the 15-yard line and finally tackled as he goes backwards down at the 11. Dario Dangbo, by the way, is back in the game for Vanderbilt. He was the player that was targeted, which led to that shouting match between coaches. P. Ryan splatters the pile at the 36-yard line. Take a look at our Aflac trivia question. Aflac! Florida has scored in 379 consecutive games, an NCAA record. Who has the 2nd longest active streak? And if you know this, you have way too much time on your hands.
That's impossible.
P. Ryan gets back to the line of scrimmage, maybe got 1 positive yard. Do you have any guesses? Lugs, you got anything?
Yeah, TCU.
You didn't just say that, did you? I just said whoever knows the answer has way too much time on his hands. And the fact that you guessed it tells me all I need to know about what you do in your spare time.
I honestly, what's funny is I would have said Texas Tech, and they both played each other just the other night. Texas Tech would have been probably the guess for me.
Luke, there is more to life than just college football. We love college football, but I mean, there are things besides that can fill our time when we're not here.
Like cowboy boots.
3rd and 3. Franks throws high, incomplete. Off the hand of P. Ryan. It's 4th and 3. All right, now that Tom has ruined it for those that we're not sure exactly what the answer is. The Aflac trivia question answer is TCU with 326 games.
It was pretty remarkable. That is a really long time. I would like to know how long that streak goes.
Wow.
How many games is that?
I'll get back to you on that.
Back to like the 80s? I mean, that's a long time.
Tom has that in his notebook. He'll let us know when he checks at it. 4th down. Tommy Townsend on the punt. It's a fake. Townsend picks up the 1st down. What a call by Dan Mullen. Townsend gets the 1st down to the 45. They haven't blown it dead just yet. Now they finally do. An 18-yard run by the punter, and now pushing and shoving. The punter getting into it with a Vanderbilt player. Alex Stump for Vanderbilt was trying to rip the ball away from Tommy Townsend. He said, "Get off me."
What a great call and great design. Look at all these outside releases by Florida, which essentially vacates the middle of the field. You have 3 blockers for 3 defenders. I mean, there's nothing but green grass for Townsend. And he just bursts forward for one of their more explosive plays of the game offensively.
Well, we knew a trick play was coming at some point. Pierce lowers the shoulder to the 38-yard line. Damian Pierce, true freshman, picks up about 7 yards. Randall Haney on the tackle. Tommy Townsend, transfer from Tennessee. Junior from Orlando, with this week's trick play.
I'd take a shot right here if I'm Florida.
Instead, Pierce, boy, he got tripped, looked like, at the 37-yard line. Josh Smith was there for Vanderbilt. Hard to tell if the running back just stumbled or if Smith stuck his leg out and tripped him. Let's see here. Yeah, it just looked like he stumbled there. Yep.
Just stumbled.
3rd and 3. Franks throws to Jefferson, is free at the 20-yard line and going to take it to the house. Touchdown, Gators. Van Jefferson, who's been Felipe Franks' go-to guy in the passing game, with his 4th receiving touchdown of the year. 38 yards. They pay off the fake punt. Not going to go for 2 here with 5:23 to go in the 3rd quarter. They'll bring on McPherson for the point after. So the missed field goal by Vanderbilt from 25 yards, the fake punt by Florida, and then Felipe Franks to Van Jefferson. And the Gators are back in this one.
Florida, beautiful route right here on this touchdown. Look at how he stems him out to create a little additional separation and to create a little bit of movement away from the internal presence. That's a beautiful route by Van Jefferson on the slant. Hesitation, took his time, set up the outside move, and broke it for a huge play.
Touchback comes out to the 25. First down for Vanderbilt with only a 1-point lead. Wakefield off the left side is tackled by Jackson after a gain of 5. So the guy that just caught that touchdown for Florida is Van Jefferson. He's from Brentwood, Tennessee, and went to Ravenwood High School. He was the homecoming king. Top prospect coming out of school and went to Ole Miss. But because of that postseason ban, he was allowed to transfer and play right away. Van's dad, Sean, was in the NFL for 13 years and is now a coach.
And Van's their best wide receiver. Hasn't quite hit his stride yet, but it's coming.
Shurmur, wide receiver, is wide open. It's Lipscomb, first down and more to midfield. Florida completely vacated that side of the field, and Jefferson gets 22 yards. Or excuse me, Lipscomb rather. His dad Karanja looking on.
Man, just a bust defensively. As a result, number 33, David Reese, is actually supposed to be in man coverage, but he pressures. As a result, nobody's home to cover Lipscomb in the flat. And Shurmur finds him for an easy completion and an explosive play.
Wakefield on the carry down to the 44. Such an important game for Florida. With the SEC East as good as it is, maybe overall better than the West. Obviously, Alabama's the best team, but you look at the way Georgia's played. They got a big one with LSU today. Kentucky, 3-1 in conference play. Florida as well.
And they have a bye week next week, too, to get a little healthier. I just have to wonder if they were caught sleeping a little bit on a Vanderbilt team who's better than their record would indicate.
Yeah, bye week, and then they've got a game with Georgia. Florida does. Wakefield picks up just a couple, so 3rd down here for the Commodores.
And Vanderbilt's been really good today, too. You have to give them a lot of credit. Just mixing run pass. Shurmur's been pretty sound. The protection is held up, too. We haven't heard anything from Jabari Zuniga, CeCe Jefferson, or Ja'Kai Polite. The strength of this Florida team are their defensive linemen, and they've been, for the most part, neutralized. So let's see here on 3rd and medium whether or not one of those guys can find some space in a one-on-one pass rush situation.
It's amazing. They still haven't converted on 3rd down, yet they lead the Gators. Shurmur does get hit that time. Maybe felt the pressure from behind by Zuniga and threw wide of the target. It is 4th down. And there's Pat Shurmur, New York Giants head coach, watching his son, along with his wife Jennifer here in Nashville. Florida with an opportunity to take the lead on this next possession.
And you can see Florida, they're lined up in punt safe, punt return safe, because they know they just had a fake field goal or a fake punt. They don't want to fall victim to one.
Tomei trying to pin the Gators deep. There are 4 Vanderbilt players down there. What a great over-the-shoulder catch by the long snapper, Tommy Shiger. He snaps it, he races down the field, and he makes an incredible grab. Florida from its 5-yard line going to keep it on the ground with Pierce past the 10. He gets driven into the ground at the 13-yard line, but it's a good run again on first down.
And Florida really has been pretty consistent today running the football. All 3 of their ball carriers, Pirine, Scarlett, and Pierce, all averaging better than 4.5 yards a carry. They've been able to really control the clock on the line of scrimmage.
Pierce again on second and short, stood up by Ladarius Wiley, but able to power his way past the line to gain.
No, Greg, I think that's one area of this Florida football team that probably doesn't deserve enough credit in terms of the beginning of the year till now. There may not be a more improved unit than Florida's offensive line. I mean, they have really come together from what was a group that was much maligned coming into the year and for the first couple of weeks.
Scarlett gets the call. And that was a good job by Cameron Tidd getting off a block and making a play at the point of attack.
Yeah, Tom, and this offensive line, they were a liability. I mean, there's
Yep.
no arguing that. The first 4 weeks of the season, really a liability, but the last few games, they've played much better against stiffer competition, too, in the trenches. Mississippi State, outstanding along the defensive front, and LSU, pretty good, too, along the defensive line. So they've been up to the task.
Scarlett is bottled up after a short gain. So Florida sticking with the ground game, but now in a passing situation on 3rd down and 8.
And Greg, this is not where you want Felipe Franks to be, because this forces them to push the ball downfield a little bit where they're so much more comfortable dumping things off underneath. You don't have that luxury if you struggle to win on first down.
And Van Jefferson's had a pretty decent day, not overly productive. Let's see if they look his way again in a potential one-on-one, and whether or not Vanderbilt opts to play a safety over the top of the talented wide receiver.
Had a touchdown on the last possession. Jefferson did. 40 seconds to go in the quarter. Franks in the pocket with time. Down the seam. It's caught by Stevens. A first down. He's had some big catches this year. A touchdown in each of his last 2 games, and a big 3rd down conversion for 27 yards here.
Because of Van Jefferson's production, you look at the safety, Wiley, number 5. He had to stay left over the top of the X receiver, which allowed Stevens to work that vacated area over the middle of the field.
Play fake. Franks over the middle again. It is tipped and nearly picked off by Jordan Griffin. Freddie Swain was open as well behind the linebacker, but Franks could not get it over him.
Man, that's a great job by Griffin elevating. That was going to be a big play, because if that ball's completed, man, they had a full head of steam en route to the end zone potentially. Griffin almost elevates and snags it out of the air. That was a great play by the linebacker.
They've had so many good inside linebackers over the years. They're waiting for that next guy. Could it be Jordan Griffin this year? And they run it on 2nd and 10. Scarlett has stood up, but in Vanderbilt territory after a 7-yard pickup. And it will be 3rd down and short when we start the 4th quarter here in Nashville. The Florida Gators trying to avoid an upset. They trail by 1 after 3. Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Xfinity. Vanderbilt leads Florida 21-20, including this one for the Florida Gators. On 3rd and 3, a huge gap. Scarlett is gone, and the Gators have the lead. Touchdown, Florida. .48-yard touchdown run by Jordan Scarlett. His 3rd of the season, and Florida has come back from down 18 points to take the lead early in the 4th. They go for one, and it's a 6-point Florida lead after Scarlett's longest run this season.
The running back position for the Florida Gators has been their backbone all season long. This time it's Scarlett breaking away to give the Gators the lead. The Gators get the lead because of a bust in defensive alignment by Vanderbilt. There's 3 defenders on the right side of the center. There's 3 blockers for Florida. If Scarlett breaks through that initial line of defense, there's nobody home. Vanderbilt has to have an additional defender on the right side of the center to account for the additional gap. That was a bust in alignment, and as a result, it was a touchdown for the Gators.
And a touchback for Vanderbilt will come out to the 25. And Vanderbilt's offense lost its potency when Keyshawn Vaughn was injured. They haven't done much since. Shurmur rolling out in trouble, gets hit, and it's ruled a forward pass incomplete. Let's second down and 22. Shurmur in the pocket, looking. Oh, nearly picked off, and that would have been a touchdown for Jaywan Taylor.
And this is where Florida just licks their chops defensively. You look at it, obvious passing situation, and when Florida gets the lead and you're forced into that obvious passing situation, that's when these pass rushers come alive. That's what CeCe Jefferson and Ja'Kai Polite and Jabari Zuniga, that's what makes this team different than what they've been the last few years. Let's see if they can get after the passer here on 3rd and long.
They're 3rd in the country in sacks. You saw Todd Grantham. We'll see if he dials it up here on 3rd and 22. The only rush for Shurmur, steps up, completes the pass, but short of the first down. Lipscomb on the catch. That will serve the Commodores well, though. They weren't going to likely pick up the first down, so they get 16 of it, and now they can flip the field here with a good punt by Parker Tomey. But you just see, without Keyshawn Vaughn, the running game hasn't been the same, and Shurmur has not been great, really. He does have 2 touchdowns. One of those was a 75-yard catch and run. So he's got about 90 passing yards on his other 9 completions.
Yeah, they've just lost. Without Keyshawn Vaughn, they lose so much explosiveness. They got to find it in other areas, especially with the underneath passing game.
They need Tomey here to get off a good punt, and he doesn't. Although Swain has trouble with it, muffs it, but then covers it up at the 26-yard line. 27-21 Gators. Florida in full command now of this game with possession, a 6-point lead. Going to try to run the football here and melt the clock. Pierce out to the 32-yard line. That's way too much if you're Vanderbilt, giving up 6 yards on first down. Florida has lost the last 26 games when trailing by 18 or more points, going back to 2003. 15 years since they overcame that type of deficit to win a game. We'll see if the Gators can cap it. And we're down 21-3 in the second quarter.
I'm telling you, it's remarkable to watch this team these last few weeks. It's just a newfound confidence. They're never out of it. The offense is playing better. They complement each other on both sides of the ball. Fun group.
Good play there. Pierce fumbles the ball, and it's recovered by Vanderbilt. Another turnover by the Gators. Zaire Jones comes out of there with the football.
Man, just when we've been praising these running backs all game long, the freshman Pierce gets the ball stripped. What a huge play, and Vanderbilt's defense yet again comes up huge.
Colin Anderson forces it, recovered by Zaire Jones. And now, after the 3rd takeaway by the Commodores, they have an opportunity here with a touchdown to retake the lead. They got to get something on first down. They have struggled on that down lately. And they'll get maybe 3. Wakefield still keeping the feet moving. They finally blow it dead at the 24-yard line. A 4-yard run.
And the turnovers have really been the story today. Vanderbilt has forced 3, and as a result has 2 touchdowns to show for it. And if you look at Florida over the first 5 games, 6 games of this season, plus 11 in turnover margin coming into today's game, that is second best in all of college football. Clearly hasn't been the case today against the Doors.
They need Shurmur to make a play here. Beautiful defensive play by Trey Dean, knocking down the ball on the pass intended for Lipscomb. It's 3rd down and 6.
Yeah, good job of recovering, trying to go with a little double post here, and it was tight coverage. Shurmur fortunate, because if he leads him and throws it out in front, Juan Taylor is probably going to be grabbing that ball at safety. That's a great job, though, by Trey Dean, closing on it and knocking it away.
You don't have a lot of confidence in their kicker either. Riley Gay missed a 25-yarder in the 3rd quarter. Be about a 40-yarder from here. Shurmur throws high, incomplete, intended for Pierce. It's 4th down, and they will bring on the field goal team. Gay on the season is 6 of 11, missed a 25-yarder. And the last opportunity, this will be a 42-yard attempt, which would match his season long.
I got to be honest, I'm a little surprised here, especially knowing that he hooked a 25-yarder wide left just a little while ago.
But he's perfect on this one. That's a big 3 points off the Florida turnover with 12:10 to go. The Commodores are back within 3. Field goal by Vanderbilt after Florida's 3rd giveaway makes it a 3-point game. Riley Gay nailed a 42-yarder. Now he's kicking it deep to Tony, and this will be a touchback. Felipe Franks has had some turnover issues in this game. They're going to let him throw here on 1st down, and his pass is caught. To the 40-yard line is Cleveland. 1st down Gators, a pickup of 15 yards.
A great job by this Florida offensive line, hanging in there. Felipe Franks started his eyes to the left, hung around, gets all the way back to the right to allow the receiver to uncover. He still has a clean jersey afterwards. Well done by the O-line.
Here comes a reverse to Tony, and he's got a ton of green inside the 30, inside the 25, and down to the 22-yard line. 28-yard run by Kadarius Toney.
How about Martez Ivy, the left tackle, doing a little whirly bird and then sealing on the edge. Nicely done by number 73. And a great play call by Dan Mullen. Kadarius Toney is one of your most explosive playmakers. Hasn't really had a ton of opportunities in space today. They find the right time in the game to get him the ball, and he makes a play.
I know Vanderbilt's defense has been out there for more than 30 minutes, but they got to come up with a stop with Pierce out in space, breaking a tackle and getting inside the 20-yard line. And you wonder, can the Commodores get that stop and force a field goal, because they've been on the field for so long and have been at the line of scrimmage anyway, pushed around, giving up 236 rushing yards.
Yeah, it's just not often you see this much production from Florida's offense. I mean, this is going to be their 82nd snap of the game. They're a ball control team. They want to win it with the ground attack and with their defensive personnel. It's not often you see them in the mid to upper 80s in the snap count offensively. So this could potentially be their 54th rush of the game as well. They're really trying to emphasize the line of scrimmage.
And Vanderbilt's had only 42 plays on offense. It's Scarlett, and bouncing off of a tackler. Still shy of the line to gain by about a yard. We're at the 9-minute mark here in the 4th.
Good awareness to point out that cutback again, Greg, of understanding where you are on the field, knowing what your score is, keeping the clock running, and not getting near the sideline.
And Tom, that offensive line and this Florida group is starting to really surge. You see fatigue a little bit on the Vanderbilt defensive side. You can't imagine they go with anything other than a wildcat right here potentially, or just something right downhill.
It is Franks under center, quarterback sneak, and he just pushes the center and has the 1st down.
Yeah, when they go under center like that, Tom, usually Franks motions out and they go wildcat. This time they say, look, these defensive linemen for Vanderbilt are worn out. Their hands are on their hips. They're gassed. They're breathing heavy. They've played a million snaps. Let's just surge forward with our 6'6" quarterback that weighs 240 pounds.
And that also could be a call at the line of scrimmage based off of gap alignment. If you've got something in either a gap, you go ahead and you take it.
4 receivers at the bottom of your screen, and they're going to throw it over here. And Swain stumbled, but gets inside the 5, dives into the end zone. Touchdown, Gators.
Well, a very similar play to what they scored on a second ago. They have the run play to the right. Vanderbilt adjusted their alignment. That time they had too many defenders on the right side of the center. He takes the RPO bubble to the left, and nothing but green grass for the touchdown.
So second touchdown pass for Franks, and for Swain, his 4th touchdown receiving of the season and his 5th overall. And the Gators are up 10 with 8:07 to go. Wakefield returns this one from his 10-yard line. Let's go. So Vanderbilt, you saw those numbers, just 82 yards this half. Shurmur, and looked like a drop. Pierce couldn't hang on. The key was losing key. Keyshawn Vaughn had a 75-yard touchdown catch. Since then, they've run 13 more plays and have a lot fewer yards.
Yeah, Keyshawn Vaughn is such a great weapon at running back for Vanderbilt, and his absence has certainly been felt by their entire offense.
2nd and 10 for Shurmur. To the air again. Here comes Polite. Shurmur gets the pass away, and it's incomplete. Pinckney was laying out for that one, and Gardner Johnson came in and broke the pass up. It's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, that was a great job looking inside by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, reading the quarterback's eyes and making a break on the ball. The ball was thrown a little bit too far outside, but not way off target, just a better defensive play.
Keyshawn Vaughn was not injured, guys. There's no way Vanderbilt would have thrown the ball in consecutive downs there on 1st and 2nd down.
And now, too, in the 3rd and long, you can expect pressure from Florida. That's their MO in this situation.
They rush 5. Shurmur goes underneath. The catch is made, but short of the first down is C.J. Bowler. It's 4th and 3. What does Derek Mason do here? Down 10 points. You would think he'd go for it, even though they're at their 31-yard line.
Yeah, 2-possession game. Your defense has had a really tough time over the last couple series getting off the ball, getting off the field. So you got to keep your offense on here. You got to find a way to get the ball to Kalijah Lipscomb or Jared Pinckney. Those are the 2 best options, and in a gotta-have-it situation, sometimes it's players, not plays.
Got to hurry up. The play clock is down to 4. Now they're set. Here comes pressure. And the pass is caught for a first down. Bowler on the catch. Boy, Shurmur did such a good job. He hung in there with C.J. Henderson coming on a blitz. Shurmur took the shot and still delivered the ball on time and target.
Man, you could see the late pressure that was almost there. A good job hanging in there by Shurmur, knowing he was loose in protection and going to absorb a hit.
And there was a lot of contact there as the receiver Tennyson was coming out of his break. He had both Tennyson and Lipscomb in the same area. 5:49 on the clock. We mentioned Florida has the bye week. If the Gators hold on here, they'll be 4-1 in conference, 6-1 overall. So they keep not only SEC East championship hopes alive, but playoff hope alive. Nobody thought that about Florida coming into the year.
Nobody thought that 2 weeks ago. It's amazing just how far this team has come in a very short period of time.
They have Missouri and South Carolina at home. Those are the other key games on their schedule. And, of course, Florida State at the end of the year. Shurmur looks over the middle. Should have been picked off by Taylor. That's the second one he's dropped.
Man, now Vanderbilt's run this play a few times. They might have gone to the well one too many. They run that little wrap 6 around as the tight end sits down underneath. It's a very common cover 2 beater, which is what Florida was in. Taylor recognized that Lipscomb was going to cross face, and he beat him to the spot. Very fortunate for Vanderbilt that that ball wasn't intercepted.
4-down territory, obviously down 10 points. Try to get a chunk of it back here. Down to the 34-yard line is Ellis. So only about 6 yards. You're looking at 4th and 15 here for Vanderbilt. But they're going to bring the punting team on. This makes no sense. Or they're going to try a field goal. Okay, you can try a field goal. Down 10, 2-possession game. You're banking on a guy whose long is 42 yards this season to make a 53-yarder. Kicker ran on late. I thought they were punting at first.
Jeez, Dave, don't scare our audience.
I'm like, I see 93, the punter. Okay, 98 comes running on as the last guy. And that's one of the reasons why the play clock is already down to 2. 53-yard attempt. Does it have enough? It does! Riley Gay, who missed a 25-yarder in the 3rd quarter, makes a 53-yarder in the 4th. And it's a 7-point game.
Wow. He got all of that. And it curved in there beautifully. I mean, how do you miss a 25-yarder from the same hash and then nail one from that distance, and it still had some room to go? That was a heck of a kick by Gay. It's not where you start, Dave, with the field goal attempt. It's where you finish. So he will be remembered by that last kick, certainly not his first one.
Boy, 4th and 15 is a long way to go, boys.
Against this defense with this pass rush, you better believe it.
I mean, if you think about the percentages, he's probably figuring he's got just as good a shot to hit that thing as they do to get it.
Now the question is, with the way Florida's been controlling the ball, do you go with an onside kick? Because your defense has had a really tough time getting off the field. Based on how Vanderbilt's aligned, it looks like they're going to kick it deep, but and their defense has struggled, especially here in the last 15-20 minutes of game time.
But if you don't get the onside kick, you're basically giving them points and you're going to lose the game. They haven't attempted onside kick this season, and they won't here. I think it's
I don't know, especially when Florida was in Hans' team.
They run Scarlett, and he puts the ball on the ground, but they rule him down at the 29. It's a gain of 4 in the play. Let's take a look at today's player spotlight, brought to you by John Deere. LaMichael Pirine, 93 receiving yards, 78 on the ground, a touchdown, a total offense of 171 yards.
He's been outstanding. Last couple weeks, man, him and Scarlett have been terrific for this Gator offense.
Pirine 2 touchdowns last week against LSU. On the sideline right now with Scarlett in the game at running back on 2nd down and 6. Vanderbilt saving its timeouts for now. And Florida taking the play clock down. Franks wrapped up at the 31. A 2-yard pickup. It's a huge 3rd down here for Florida. Got to move the chains and then force Vanderbilt to use those timeouts.
And Dan Mullen, the play caller, you have to be comfortable throwing the football here. Franks has done a pretty good job, for the most part, being accurate on the underneath routes. I would evaluate what they're going to be in defensively, and I'm perfectly okay putting it in the hands of number 13. He's been good for him over the last few weeks.
Vandy going to bring pressure, almost jumped into the neutral zone. Don't want to risk that there and give Florida 1st down by penalty. They're going to run Pirine, and he got it. 1st down and more. Out to the 40-yard line. So is that the design all the way, or was that checked into by Felipe Franks?
That was checked into. I actually think they were going to have a pass call, but as soon as Pirine went to the same side as Jefferson, it made me think that they were going to run the ball back to the left. If you look at the numbers defensively for Vanderbilt, they were a little bit short on the left-hand side. So there's the change. You put Pirine on the right. The defense doesn't have time to adjust. They run the inside zone to the left-hand side. Good job by Dan Mullen identifying exactly what Vanderbilt was going to be in defensively and coming up with the best play call possible for the situation.
Pirine, a ton of running room. 1st down into Vanderbilt territory inside the 35-yard line. The will of the Gators just too much for Vanderbilt to handle. as the Gators have run for close to 300 yards, consistently winning at the line of scrimmage.
How smart is Pirine right there to tuck it back inside and stay in bounds.
And look at that. In the fourth quarter alone, they've run for a $142.
A lot of it has to do with snap count. I mean, Florida right now has snapped the ball 88 times offensively. I don't care who you are. And Vandy, they have good, solid starting talent, but the depth isn't there. Not along the rest of the SEC.
Yeah, you can't be on the field defensively 35 minutes if you don't have depth. And there's Pirine again to the 29, a timeout by Vanderbilt that will leave the Commodores with 1. 2nd and 5 from the 29-yard line. Pirine pushing forward. He'll be just short. Vanderbilt will call its final timeout. Florida can ice the game with a first down. If the Gators don't get it, they might go for it on 4th down. Pirine is dropped for a loss at the 26. So Vanderbilt's out of timeouts. Florida can take it down to 40 seconds and run a play if they want on 4th down. Would you risk trying a field goal in this situation where maybe you get it blocked? How would you handle it?
I would kick it. I mean, I know that it's not an ideal situation, and relying on the operations between snap, hold, and kick is difficult. But man, it's difficult for me to justify trying to go for it on 4th and 2+. I mean, that's a long 2. So I would say that kicking it is the correct decision to make it a 2-score game.
You got a true freshman kicker. 43-yard attempt by McPherson. It hooks in. It's good. And Florida leads by 10 with 37 seconds to go.
Right down the middle. McPherson, very solid on the field goal there. And Dan Mullen knows that that is a huge 3 points to essentially end the game. Derek Mason looks on in agony. And
when you have a game like this, you're coming off emotional wins. You're tested by the fact you turn the ball over 3 times, but you still get a road win in the SEC. Here's Wakefield with a nice return, but there's only 30 seconds left.
And sometimes it's important, Greg and Dave, how you win a game. To win a game in this fashion on the road is part of that building process of what you're hoping to be over the course of time. And so let's just say, do you think Florida gains as much, learns as much, experiences as much as if they would have come in here and won 41-0? I think this is a great building block for them.
Agree. And honestly, Tom, this is not a team that's considered flawless. Like, they have flaws.
Yeah, they got warts.
They have a lot of things to work on over the course of the next 2 weeks, because when they show up in Jacksonville to play the Georgia Bulldogs, those flaws better be minimized because Georgia can exploit them.
Here's Lipscomb on the run. Gets the first down. 15 seconds to go. Shurmur looking downfield, long throw. It is intercepted by Gardner Johnson. One more snap for the Florida offense, and the Gators are going to get out of here victorious.
It's a gutsy performance from Florida. Really is. I mean, I don't know if they could have played worse from a situational awareness standpoint in the first half, but they weathered the storm. They climbed their way back in the game. In the second half, in the fourth quarter especially, really started to impose their will in the run game. Just a gutsy win by Florida. Come to Nashville and pick up the W.
And Greg, Dan Mullen on the sideline here for Florida, instructing his team to keep their mouths shut, end the game, and get in the locker room.
We'll keep an eye on the handshake here between Dan Mullen and Derek Mason. After Florida closes this one out 37-27, the Gators beat the Commodores. And it appears no hard feelings after that exchange at the end of the first half. You know, that's great to see. In the heat of the moment, things happen, and it looks like all is forgiven.
Certainly appears that way. These are two great men. I mean, they really are. Derek Mason, first-class individual. So is Dan Mullen. So it's water under the bridge. Glad that everything's okay between the two.
Tom?
Coach, how important is it at this stage of this team to come in here and win a game in this fashion?
We're learning, right? We've learned. I think we're hitting up pretty much, checking all the boxes on how to win games. Come in today, not really follow the plan to win. Don't score touchdowns in the red zone. Turn the ball over. Big minus on the turnover battle. But, you know, we still found a way, you know, to handle adversity when you get punched right in the face. To not flinch and keep going, and find a way to win at the end.
The events at the end of the second quarter lead you into the locker room. What was the message in terms of poise and composure for your team?
Well, that was it, because, you know, I mean, we were behind because we weren't playing with poise. We weren't doing the things we needed to do to win. And so, here, go back up out of the way. I'm sorry. But that was the big message for everybody, for all of us right there, which is this. You know, don't lose our cool. In the second half, we got to execute on offense, stay in our gaps on defense. I know we're behind. Don't try to make big plays. Just do your job and execute. And you know, I love the emotion. You know, early morning game, people are like, oh, we're not going to come out and play hard. We came out and played hard, but we didn't play with the execution composure we needed to.
You obviously are a competitor. So is Derek Mason.
Absolutely.
You see the embrace there. Things get emotional. What was the message?
No, Derek and I are really close friends. You know, I mean, I've been close friends with him for a while. He's great, and I mean, he knows that. I know. I mean, he's doing an amazing job here at Vanderbilt. You just look at what he's been able to accomplish, going to bowl games, coaching this team, how they play, how they compete. He does an amazing job, and that's just what it's about. He and I are really close friends.
All right, Coach, go enjoy it. Thanks.
Thank you.
So Florida comes back from 18 down in the first half to win the game in Nashville 37-27. For Greg McElroy, Tom Luganville, I'm Dave Pasch. So long. Let's send you to Austin, Baylor, and Texas. Here's Adam Amin.